Workshop participants often approach us frustrated with people not doing what they want them to do. Think of that in your own life. Think of some people, 5, 10, or 15, who are stressing you, not doing what you want them to do, or they're doing something that you want them to stop doing. Maybe they're doing something, but they're doing it in the wrong way. They're not being accountable. Accountability is defined as the willingness to accept responsibility for one's actions, or in this case, non-actions. And if agreements are the pathway to accountability, why are we so frustrated with how a lot of people deal with the agreements we make? Well, maybe we're part of the problem. In the comic strip Pogo, Walt Kelly's character says, "We've met the enemy, and he's us." There are 4 classic problems with how people make agreements. First, we don't make them. Think of those people in your life who frustrate you, not doing what you want, doing it the wrong way. Do you really have an agreement with them, or is it more about your expectations? Expectations are covert. Agreements are overt. Expectations live in our minds. An agreement and commitment is between 2 people. Expectations are pipe dreams. They may or may not happen. An agreement has a higher likelihood of occurring. So we're talking about really holding ourselves accountable to truly make a commitment with someone, to forge that upfront agreement with them. Because oftentimes we think, it's their job. They should know. I shouldn't have to tell them. Well, guess what? You may or may not be right, but we need to tell them. The second problem, besides not making agreements, is oftentimes agreements lack the needed content for effectiveness. Let's say I'm telling my 2 kids at dinner, "Kids, Johnny, Joey, need you to clean up after dinner." Now, what's wrong with that agreement? It has nothing about roles and responsibilities. They may fight about who's responsible for what. What does cleaning up even mean? Am I going to walk back into the kitchen and see the dishes over on the sink, but the food's still caked up? You know that one if you're a parent. And what century is it going to be completed by? There's no incentive for doing it as well. So what we try to do is remember that oftentimes our employees are really kids with bigger feet. So we provide them the right kind of content for an effective agreement. G.A.I.N. To gain agreement, we want to tell them G, the goals, A, the advantages, I, we want to inquire about impediments, and N, next steps. So the goal, G, it's the camera test, folks. It's the camera test. I don't want to say to someone, I need you to be more of a team player, Larry. Because Larry might not understand what I mean by being a team player. What would a camera see that makes him a team player or not? Is it participating in meetings? Is it providing and sharing information to a sales colleague about customers that he knows? What does it really mean? So I'm going to map that out and tell them what I want in the goals and results of my agreement. Secondly, A, I'm selling you on this. It's a commitment discussion, an influence conversation where I want you to buy in and say yes to the goals and results. So what's in it for you? What's in it for me? What's in it for our team and the enterprise? The I stands for impediments. I'll inquire about what could stand in the way of you keeping this agreement with me. So it's not a setup or a snow job, and you can't use excuses later on because we've worked through them. N, next steps. I'm going to summarize or ask you to summarize our agreement and set up next steps. So important to have the right content. The third problem, besides not making agreements, not having the right content, is poor interpersonal process. Lack of people skills as I work through that G.A.I.N. agenda is going to kill the agreement. So I want to have a dialogue rather than a monologue. I don't want a duologue, and that means I'm going to check your reaction along the way and listen to your reactions. The fourth and final problem with a lot of agreements is they lack follow-through. I don't inspect what I expect. Why should you take the agreement seriously if I don't and I'm bailing out on it? So I'm going to follow up. The next time you find yourself frustrated with people not doing what you want them to do, ask yourself, have you really made an upfront agreement? Have you used the right content? G.A.I.N. Have you practiced two-way dialogue rather than a monologue? And have you followed up that agreement so that you ensure there's a culture of accountability? You know, Peter Drucker once said, unless a commitment is made, there are only promises and hopes, but no plans.